Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to show you how to add a new worksheet to your workbook in Excel using VBA. We're going to create a simple little macro. It's very basic, so if you have any background with VBA and you've done that before, this is not the video for you. This is for complete beginners, total newbies, and so we're going to get right to that. But before we do that, if you would do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and set your notifications, so you'll get notifications when I add new videos. I would greatly appreciate that. And also, if you hit the like button and leave a comment below. Without further ado, let's get to the real deal here, and let's get to learning. So the first thing I need to do is I need to find my developer tab. But the problem is here I don't see a developer tab, and maybe you have your Excel open and you don't see your developer tab. If that's the case, fear not, fret not. Let's go over to the File tab. And let's go down to Options. And if yours looks a little different than mine, I'm in Excel 2016. So if you're on 2010 or 2013, it's still the same procedure. It just might look the interface might look a little bit different. So let's find in our Excel Options dialog here, let's find the Customize Ribbon selection. So when we get here, what you're looking for is down here, there's this Developer tab, but it's probably unselected. I think it comes for most people out of the box when you install Excel unselected. So you just need to go make sure that's selected, check that box, and then we go down here, click OK. And if we come back now, we see the developer tabs there. So we're good to go. So if we click on that, we go over here to the code section, we can click on Visual Basic, and that brings up our VB editor. Now that's one of two ways you can open that up. The better way actually is if I close that, there's a keyboard shortcut Alt F11, and notice it brings that up for me. And if I hit off Alt F11 again, it actually goes back to my spreadsheet. So it just toggles that to activate that Visual Basic editor. So the next thing we need to do is we need to type in some code, but I don't have a code window here yet. I need to start a new module or open a new module, create a new module. So I want to go over here. We're in Book 1. I want to click on Microsoft Excel Objects, right click, go down to Insert, and then find Module, click on that, and notice here we've got this white background. I've got a cursor, an active cursor there, so I can go ahead and get started. Don't worry about the immediate window and locals window down here. We're not going to do anything with that in this video, but we're just going to focus on the code editor here right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start and create a name for my sub procedure, and that we do that by using the sub keyword, and then I'll just go ahead and come up with my own name, and I'm just going to call it Add New Sheet, no name. So in this particular case, we're not going to name the sheet, we're just going to add it, and it's going Excel's just going to name it for us with some arbitrary name. It's usually going to be like sheet 2, sheet 3, 4, and so on. So what I can do from here is, and make sure your name has no spaces. So it's always starts with sub, a space, and then start your name with no spaces. Now there's no rhyme or reason why I did this camel case using capital letters for the first letter in each word, and using this lowercase to start it. That's just the way I do it. You can do it with a capital letter here, or you can do it all lowercase letters, just no spaces. And so at the end of this, if I press press enter, it's going to do a couple things. It's going to add these double parentheses, and then it's going to add this in sub. So that's kind of a cool deal if you just kind of helps you, write your code faster or whatever. The double parentheses are there because in some cases you might write a macro or like a custom user-defined function that have arguments, much like if you've ever worked with functions or creating formulas in your spreadsheets. So anyway, let's get to it. Let's the first and only line of code that we need is going to be sheets.add. And so this is just a method that adds a new sheet to your workbook, and then we can click out of that, and that's really all we need. Now I will add one more line here. It's not a line of code, it's actually a comment. And so let me show you how to do that. So if you press a single quote and then you start typing text, I'm just going to say add a new sheet. When I press enter, it turns that font green, and that just means that's a line of text that doesn't get executed as code. So basically Excel just ignores it, and as it steps through all the lines and processes this line here, because it has this single quote at the beginning, doesn't get executed as code. So this is a good way for you to kind of keep track of your code. If you start writing longer macros, you can kind of leave notes for yourself. And so when you come back to it, or maybe somebody else down the line looks at it, they get a better explanation of what you were doing in the next line or next few lines of code. So anyway, let me shrink this up a little bit, move this over here, and now we're going to run this. So there's a couple of ways to do this. The first way to do it is you could go up here to this green play button, and you'll notice it tells us here run sub user form. If I click this, it'll run the entire macro, and in like a split second you'll have a new sheet. So if I click on that, notice here, boom, get sheet 2 automatically. Alrighty, so Alt F11, let's go back to this. I can also press F5 to get the same thing, but I can also step through each line of code one at a time. And this is kind of a cool way to like test your code and go through it one step at a time. And if you're just starting out, it's a great way to kind of like follow along as you write more complicated macros and see what's going line by line. So let me do that for you. So it's not Alt F11, it's F8. So press F8 and it highlights that first line, which is the name of the macro. And what this basically means is Excel's telling you, okay, this line that's highlighted is going to be the line of code that gets executed next time you press F8. So in this case, this is not actual code, it's just basically starting the macro. So if I press F8 again, notice it skips the comment. Again, it's because it's not an executable line of code, and it immediately goes to sheets.add. So basically now it's saying, okay, the next time you press F8, we're going to run sheets.add, and it's going to add a new sheet. So let me do that, F8, and so notice a couple of things. It did add a new sheet, and it also highlights the last line, which is in sub. So the next time we press F8, it's going to complete the entire macro. So F8, and now no lines are highlighted because it's done. So it did add the sheet. So there you have it. It's a quick introduction to VBA, showing you how to add a new sheet. And we can run this as many times as we want. I can hit that play button and just keep adding new sheets. So it's one of those ways to just automate a simple little process, kind of give you an introduction to VBA, writing your own macros. And yeah, so there you go. Thanks everybody for watching. Please take a minute to like and subscribe, and be sure to check us out at theaccidentalexcellist.com.